Welcome to Dare to Soar with your host, Dr. RC. Dr. RC will empower, encourage, and strengthen you. She will help you to soar to your highest potential while instilling hope. Please welcome the host of Dare to Soar, Dr. RC.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a very special episode of Dare to Soar with Dr. RC. I'm the host, Dr. RC, of course, and today's episode carries a very special message that is personal and powerful as we close out National School Social Work Week 2026. Throughout this week, I've shared a series of reflections honoring the work, the heart, and the impact of school social workers across this nation. Each day, we lifted up a different part of the profession. The declaration, the impact, the heart, the advocacy, the leadership, and the community that holds this work together. And through it all, one message rose above the rest, a declaration that deserves to be heard. Every school social work, every district, every policy, every conversation that shapes the future of education. We are not invisible. And that is the topic of discussion for this hour. School social workers stand on the front lines of some of the most complex challenges facing students and families of today. You see, when students struggle and face anxiety or trauma, when families are facing housing instability, when crisis walks through the doors of schools, it is often the school social worker who steps in first and forward. Yet, despite profound impact of this work, our profession is sometimes misunderstood, overlooked, or left out of conversations where critical, and I do mean critical decisions are being made. But the reality is what got me to write the article when they try to erase us. Because the truth of the matter is, school social workers are not just an afterthought in education. We are advocates. We are leaders. We are essential, creating schools where students can truly thrive. So today, as we close out National School Social Work Week, I want to give recognition. I want to reflect on the legacy of this profession. We're going to just talk about this profession during this session today. The professional that sustains its future, that we're continuing to build together. This more than ever. I want to just reflect on what's being done throughout this hour. I want to just reaffirm what is taking place and the power and the purpose of school social work. So, with that being said, I want to officially welcome you to this special episode of Dare to Soar with Dr. RC, entitled We Are Not Invisible: The Legacy, Leadership, and Future of School Social Work. I want to welcome you once again, each and every single one of you in the field of school social work. You're often quietly behind the scenes, not speaking up, using those voices as I know that you can to roar beyond the sound barrier, often with your commitment. School social workers stand at the intersection of education and mental health, family engagement, and community support. You see, we are the professionals who stand and being misunderstood, while students' ability to learn, it cannot be separated for the emotional and the well-being, the home environments, or the challenges that they face or may be facing each and every day outside of the classrooms. And because of that, school social workers often become the bridge between systems, the bridge between schools and families, the bridge between crisis and stability, the bridge between struggle and possibility. Yet, despite that importance, the work that is the reality that many school social workers understand all too well. And the reality is what inspired me to continue on doing this work and thousands others. That's why this is so important. That's why this conversation is so needed. And that is why so many have been celebrated throughout this week that started at the top of the week and ends today. I want you all to know that you are being celebrated. And if you haven't been celebrated, I'm celebrating you on this day. So know that I see you if no one else told you that. The idea of what I'm referring to as a profession is that you will not be erased. You are not erased. The professional eraser recurs when the expertise and the contributions that you have and the impact of the profession is minimized and excluded from the very system it helps to sustain. It can show up in many, many ways. It can appear when staffing decisions are made without recognizing the complexity of social work practice. It can appear when conversations about student mental health do not include professionals who are trained to address it. It can appear when school social workers are asked to carry tremendous, and I do mean tremendous responsibilities without resources and staffing ratios or structures to support the needed, the truly met, that truly meet the needs of students. And many school social workers know this experience firsthand because it is a lived experience that you do daily. Because we are often the first line of the mental health supports in schools. Our roles are not always fully understood. And I'm going to pause right there because it is time for a commercial break, but I want you to hold on to that. I will be right back after this break.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays 10 a.m. Eastern, as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals.
Welcome back once again. Yes, I am Dr. RC, and this is Dare to Soar. I want to give you a little bit more information on what I was speaking about. The first day that I shared information, I talked about the declaration. As many may have been following my posts, as each day I have been giving you a tidbit. But I want to just give you just a tidbit more. In many ways, school social workers are working at the heart of the most pressing challenges faced in education today. And yet, many times in our profession, it can still be misunderstood. I can't tell you the countless times, and I'm sure many of my colleagues can attest to this. It's misunderstood, it's under resourced, or invisible in rooms where decisions are being made. But what I have learned truly over the course of my career, and I know many can attest to this, thousands across the nation can attest to this, is that visibility does not always come from the title that we hold or the position that we occupy. Also, as well, sometimes the visibility comes from the impact that we leave behind in the lives of the people or the individuals or the families and the communities that we touch. You see, every time a student feels safe to speak out about what they're going through. And I get chills when I think about this because it's the stories that we leave behind that are regurgitated. Every time a family finds support during a moment of crisis, every time a school community becomes stronger because someone stepped forward to advocate, the work of school social work becomes visible in the most meaningful way through change, through healing, through hope, which is why often says this: school social workers are often the quiet architects of stability in the lives of children who are navigating chaos, and truly they are navigating chaos. We may not always stand at the center of attention, but we are often standing at the center of transformation. Did you catch that? We are not always at the center of attention, but we are definitely at the center of transformation. And that is exactly why this declaration matters. We are not invisible. And I want you all to hold on to that. Grab your friends, who's a colleague of yours, who's a friend, or who is someone that supports this work, because we are not invisible. And I want you to hold on to that. Stand in your truth. Our work matters. Our expertise matter. In a time such as that we are going through right now, I want you to hold on and understand that. And our voices deserve to be a part of every conversation about the future of education and the student well-being. Because when school social workers are supported, resourced, and empowered, schools become stronger and places for our children. And that truth is something worth declaring, not just during this week of recognition, but every single day we continue to do this work. I want you to believe in this and understand this. I understand and know, believe me, that's a whole different conversation I could have with you for a whole different day and a whole different show. It is a trying time right now, especially when you look at education and what is happening across the globe, not just in one state or another state or one school district or another school district. I'm talking about overall. I see what's happening. I've been hearing the stories about what is taking place, but know that you do have impact. The work changes lives, and that's what it's all about. It is about the children, it is about the communities that we serve. It is about the families, because as we move deeper into this conversation, I want us to take a moment to focus on something that often gets lost in conversations about it. And that was the second day that I posted about the impact, the real everyday impact of school social work. Because while the work we do is often behind the scenes, the outcomes and the real and the very powerful in the lives of the students and the families. School social workers operate at the intersection of mental health, of education, family systems, and community support. I want you to go back and reflect upon when you were in school. Think about that education, that tiered education. Go through those levels of what you were doing, what you were taught, and then bring it back to the real life, the real world work that you're doing right now. That means our work touches multiple areas that directly influence whether students are able to show up, to feel safe and encouraged in learning, to show up, to feel safe and engage in learning, and encouraged to learn. One of the most critical areas where school social workers make an impact is mental health support. And why? Because we are trained mental health professionals. And I want to say that again, because everybody can't do this work. Trained mental health professionals. You see, across this nation, we're seeing an increase in anxiety, depression, trauma exposed, and areas of emotional distress among children and adolescents. And when I tell you that's really happening, when you see a child in kindergarten saying to you They no longer want to be here. Trauma, mental health, that is a true issue. That is the reality of what's happening. Many students arrive at school carrying burdens that have nothing to do with homework or test scores, but everything to do with what they're experiencing in their homes, their communities, and their personal lives. School social workers, you know exactly what I'm talking about, and I'm speaking truth. You're helping students to navigate these challenges. That is the reality of what's going on. We provide counseling support. We create spaces where students can express what they're feeling without judgment. Without judgment. We help students develop coping skills, emotional regulation, strategies, and resilience. This is the work that's happening. This is what you're doing. So when someone is saying, what is it that you do? Play this back because this is the reality. Give your evidence. And sometimes the most powerful thing we offer is simply the presence of someone who listens and believes in them. Another area where school social workers play a vital role is crisis intervention. Schools, like communities, are not immune to crisis. We can attest to that. Turn on the news. That's evidence based. And who are the first lines of defense? Your school social workers. Whether it is family tragedy, a community loss, or a critical incident that affects the entire school, there are moments when students and staff need immediate emotional support and stabilization. And stabilization. That is what's happening. That is the reality of what's going on. Like I said, all you have to do is turn on the news. During those moments, school social workers often help coordinate crisis response, provide psychological first aid, support grieving students, and help restore a sense of safety within the school environment. We help schools move from crisis towards healing. Another critical area of impact is attendance improvement. If you're not in the seat, no one can learn. Teaching doesn't happen. It does not. So, how do we contribute and advance the graduation rate? I just told you. Do the playback. If you're not here live to listen to it, playback. March 7th, 2026, Dr. RC Dare to Soar, the playback. Play it for your schools. Play it for your administrators. I'm giving you the information. Here it is. Attendance is often discussed in terms. In terms. I'm leaving you right here. It's time for a break. I will be right back with more.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like it was almost instant, like I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Welcome back once again. Yes, I am Dr. RC, and this is Dare to Soar. Topic of discussion for this morning: we are not invisible. As we close out National School Social Work Week, I wanted to delve into this conversation, or even dive into this conversation, because it is critical, it is important. I was speaking about how I had the pleasure and the honor of posting something on social media each day, and I gave them, each posting had a title for it. And I was intentional about the titles that I gave it. So as I wanted to dive back into attendance, but I want to give a precursor to this, because attendance is not single. It is a group effort. But as school social workers, we have a part in this. And when I tell you we have a part in this, I want to be intentional when I talk about this, how we contribute to this. And I was giving you a piece of that right before the break. So as I gave you a piece of this, I wanted to come to you from the part that talks about the intentionality of what we go into, about that crisis piece and the housing piece and the anxiety pieces of it, our area of expertise of that mental health piece. So as I shared that, attendance is often discussed in terms of numbers or percentages behind every attendance concern. But I want to say that because behind every attendance concern, it is a story. So here's where school social workers step in. Sometimes that story is about transportation barriers, it's about housing instability, it's about untreated anxiety that makes it difficult for a child to be able to come to school. It's about a student not being able to walk through the school doors as well. School social workers uncover those underlying issues, those barriers, and collaborate with families and teachers and administrators to find solutions to support consistent school engagement. Because you see, attendance is just not about showing up, it's about removing the obstacles that make showing up difficult. And I want to be clear about that. It's also the key in supporting students' experiences about homelessness and housing instability as well. See, across the nation, many children are navigating life without stable housing. The students may be living in shelters or doubling with relatives or moving from place to place in ways that disrupt their education. That's not a good feeling at all. No one wakes up and says, hey, today I want to be homeless. So we filter through that to see what kind of support can be provided for them. Often we work alongside district homeless liaisons to ensure that students experiencing homelessness can access the educational stability, like transportation services they need to remain connected to the school environment. But these students, the schools can become one of the few consistencies in their lives, and school social workers will help to protect their stability. And finally, school social worker is deeply connected to equity and access, at the core of this profession, rooted in social justice. That means that school social workers are consistently looking at the broader systems that affect student outcomes. We ask important questions. Are all students receiving support they need? Because that is important. And are there barriers, preventing them or certain groups from accessing their resources? We want to know that. Are there policies and practices creating unintended disparities? School social workers advocate to ensure that schools are placing every student with the providing every student with the opportunities to learn, to grow, to succeed, regardless of their background, regardless of their circumstances. And when you bring all of these areas together, mental health support, crisis response, attendance, improve. We want those things to improve because it is all about the children and providing them with the opportunities they need. Because when a student is struggling with anxiety, when a family has lost their housing, when crisis is there, it is often the school social worker who steps up first, not for recognition, not for the applause, but because this profession calls us to do so. And that is why I'm often reminded that people are important. And that is the truth of it all. They are important. And that's why we do this work. We don't just do this for for those accolades. We do this because we want to support our children academically. We want to stabilize the conditions that make learning for them possible because these are the individuals who are going to lead us into the future. That is the important impact of school social work. And it is a reminder that this work is happening all too often behind the scenes. And it changes lives most of all. And that is the heart of what we do, is the humanity of this profession, which leads into the third day of what I posted. I wanted to get to the crust of all that happens in this, as I wanted to continue each day of what is being done in school social work. I wanted to shift the conversation from moment to moment as best I could to provide understanding and clarity at the very core of this profession. Because while data and outcomes can help us understand or help individuals understand the importance of this work, it is the human stories behind what reminds us why school social workers do what they do every single day. It has to be heartfelt. Every school social worker can think of a moment when students walk into their office carrying a weight far heavier than their years. I'm going to let you hold on to that because it is time for another commercial break. And while you're holding on to that, I want you to be able to think about some things. I'll be right back after this commercial break.
Mike Zorek, a three-time California state champion in Greco-Roman wrestling at 114 pounds. Mike, blind since birth, was born in Hartford, Connecticut. He was a six-time national placer, including 2 seconds, 2/3, and 2/4. He also won the Veterans Folk-Style Wrestling twice at 152 pounds. In all these tournaments, he was the only blind competitor. Nancy Zorek, a creative spirit whose talents have taken her to the stage and into galleries and exhibitions in several states. Her father, a commercial artist who shared his instruments with his daughter and helped her fine-tune her natural abilities, influenced her decision to follow in his footsteps. Ms. Zorek has enjoyed a fruitful career doing what she loves. Listen Saturday mornings at 12 Eastern for the Nancy and Mike Show for heartwarming stories and interesting talk. What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation.
Welcome back once again. Yes, I am Dr. RC, and this is Dare to Soar. I left you with a bit of a cliffhanger there, but guess what? I want to bring you back around. So, as I said, heavier than your years. Maybe it was a student struggling with anxiety that made it difficult to concentrate in class. Maybe it was a student dealing with grief or trauma, or just maybe it was a young person which simply needed someone just to see them, hear them, or remind them that their life and future mattered. And you did that for them. And those moments, what we often realize is that sometimes the most powerful intervention, that most powerful intervention is not a program strategy. Sometimes the most powerful intervention is presence, a listening ear, a safe space, a reminder that reminding a child that they're not alone. Those are the most powerful moments when true humanity of social work reveals itself. And it truly does, because you let them know that you were thinking about them, you saw them, you heard them. For me, and I want to be transparent and share a story with you. For those individuals, you became a part of their system. And as I said, for me, when I reflect on a mentorship or the roots of my own journey in social work, my thoughts always return to the very same person who saw me, who heard me. It returns to someone who had a profound influence on my life. And many of you have heard me talk about this individual, my Aunt Kata Mae Rivers Tyndall. My aunt was a social worker who saw something in me before I saw it in myself. She recognized a calling in my life before I fully understood the path and what it meant to walk that path. And I'm so ever thankful for her recognizing that. Through her example, it showed me that social work is not simply a profession or a career choice. It is a commitment to humanity. It is a commitment to standing beside people during some of the most vulnerable moments in their lives. It is a commitment to advocating for those whose voices may not always be heard. Her strength, her wisdom, her firm belief in power of helping others, shaping a way I view this work to this very day. And the legacy continues through my work, Soar with Katie, carrying actions towards inspiring eagles. Because of the truth, that heart social work is lifting others. It is about helping individuals and recognizing their strength, their resilience, their potential, even when life has placed obstacles in their path. School social workers do this every day. We remind students of their stories. We remind them that it's not over. We remind families to support, and that there is support that exists. We remind school communities that compassion and advocacy must remain the center of education. That is the heart of this profession. And that is the heart that continues to sustain the work we do in schools across this nation. And that is why I do this work and continue to do this work each and every day. And every day is not a bed of roses, but I continue to fight as long as I have breath in my body. And I know that's why you do this work each and every day. And that's why it is so important that we have advocacy. We use our voices. We use our voices to protect those that we serve and protect this profession as well. And that's what brought me to posting advocacy on day 4. As we continue the conversation, as I continue the conversation, we must also talk about something that is absolutely essential in the future of this work, of school social work, advocacy. Advocacy, because when we do this work, we are deeply committed to supporting students and families. We must also remember that advocacy is never, ever off the table, which we can clearly see. Because supporting those that we are invested in, the systems, the policies, the resources, they allow us to do this work effectively. Across this country, we see schools are facing a growing student mental health crisis. And I could put it on a loudspeaker. If I had a loudspeaker to put it to be heard across the globe just one time, I would. Students are navigating, as I can't say enough, the anxiety, the trauma, the grief, the housing instability, and many other challenges that affect their ability to fully, and I do mean fully, engage in learning. They're being distracted more than ever before. And yet, many school districts still do not have enough qualified school social workers to meet the needs of students that they serve. This brings me to an important conversation about staffing ratios. Professional organizations and national guidelines recommend manageable caseloads so that school social workers can provide meaningful supports, preventive services, and crisis response when needed. But however, many districts, school social workers are responsible for hundreds, and sometimes I dare to say thousands of students. When ratios become too high, it becomes difficult to move beyond what is needed. Crisis management and into preventive, relation centered work that truly helps students thrive. And that's why advocating for appropriate staffing ratios is simply not about professional workloads. It's about students' access to support. It's about ensuring when a student is struggling emotionally, experience family instability, and navigating trauma. There are trained professionals available to respond. Advocacy also includes policy support. That's why you have to go to your states, and to the national level to speak up, to share information, to tell those stories. School social workers bring unique perspectives, sharing that information, giving statistical data, being real, speaking your truth, talking about what's actually happening in real time, talking about the intersection of mental health, education, and community well being. When policies are developed without considering social and emotional realities that students face, we risk overlooking critical factors that influence learning, because that is the key. They want to know how it impacts learning. And if it impacts learning, it impacts those graduation rates. And it impacts graduation rates. Let me reel it back. It impacts test scores. It's time for a commercial break. I'm going to hold right there. I'll be right back.
Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness: Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like, it was almost instant. Like, I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Welcome back once again. We are not invisible. That is my topic of discussion for this hour today. Let me give you the real truth of it all. as I talk about this portion of it. The truth of it all is this: schools cannot effectively address mental health needs of students. Why, Dr. RC? Without qualified school social workers, this is my take on it. Statistics, we can do the research. We are a part of an infrastructure that helps that helps schools remain safe, supported, and responsive environments for students. It's all about the students. And why? This is why advocacy matters. It's not about elevating profession for recognition alone. It's about protecting the system of support that students rely on every day. Because if we want students where students can truly learn, grow, and succeed, then we must ensure that the professionals we protect have the students' well-being that is supported as well. And that for us is simple. It's about powerful truth. If we want healthy schools, we must invest in professionals who protect student well-being. That's what it boils down to. That is what it's all about. And that leads us into the leadership charge, the leadership charge into our next generation. As we move towards closing this conversation, I want to speak directly to a group of people who represent our future. That next generation of school social workers, our BSW students who are just beginning to explore the depth or the breadth of this work. To the MSW students who are refining their skills and preparing to step into leadership roles within schools and communities. And to the early career professionals who are recently entering into the field and just discovering both the rewards and the challenges that come with this work. I want you to hear something clearly. This profession needs you. School social work is entering a time that needs students more than complex more than ever. It truly does. You see, mental health concerns among young people are rising. Families are navigating economic and social pressures. Schools are being asked to respond to challenges that extend far beyond the classroom. And in the midst of all of this, school social workers are being called to lead. And oftentimes I hear some social workers, school social workers are saying, well, I'm not ready for leadership. I can't lead. You're already leading, whether you realize it or not. Not just to serve, but to lead. That's the question. Leadership in school social work does not always look like a title or position. Sometimes leadership looks like being the person in the room who's willing to ask those difficult questions. Sometimes leadership looks like advocating for a student who may not have anyone else speaking on their behalf. Sometimes leadership looks like challenging policy or practicing the unintentionally creating barriers for students or families. Leadership in this profession begins with courage. Just having the courage, raising your hand, that's courage. The courage to speak up when something is just not right. The courage to advocate for resources, putting together a plan that needs to succeed. The courage to remind systems that the well-being of children must always be at the center of the work that we do. And to those of you who are just beginning your journey in this field, I want you to understand something important. Your voice matters. Your perspective matters. Your passion for this work, it matters. The future of this work, it matters. You will not be shaped only by those who have been in the profession for decades. It will also be shaped by your ideas, your leadership, and your willingness to step forward. This profession needs leaders who are willing to think creatively, about solutions, leaders who are willing to collaborate across disciplines, leaders who understand that advocacy is not optional. It in social work, it is essential, truly is essential. And leaders who understand that every policy decision, every program created, and every conversation about education ultimately shapes the daily lives of real children and families. So the next generation of school social workers, I encourage you to continue learning, continue growing, continue believing in the power of this work. Do not allow yourself to become discouraged by the challenges that may rise, because there are going to be many. Instead, allow those challenges to strengthen your commitment to the value that brought you into this profession in the first place. Do that, because the truth of this is the future of school social work will not be built by silence. Don't be quiet. Don't allow yourself to do that. It will be built by your courageous leadership. It will be built by that leadership that refuses to accept inequity and inevitable. Leadership that continues to advocate for mental health support in schools, ensures that every student, regardless of their circumstances, has the opportunity to learn, grow, and succeed. And I truly believe that the next generation of school social workers is ready to rise to that challenge. I truly, truly do. The future of this profession is already taking shape in the classrooms and fields placements and communities across this nation. You're stepping out on your own, into your own. And I look forward to seeing how you're going to continue to carry the torch forward. Because when courageous leaders step forward in service for students, families, and communities, the impact can reach far beyond a single school. It can transform, I believe that, transform communities. It can strengthen systems. I'm looking forward to seeing all that. And it can help shape the future of every child. The support systems need to thrive, because gratitude and community means a great deal. And I'm going to pause right there before I begin to wrap up. It's time for another commercial break. Don't go away. I have just a little bit more to share. Be right.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of The Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on The Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Dr. RC will share extraordinary resources and services that promote educational success, as well as making a difference in the lives of all social workers, as well as the lives of children, adolescents, and teens of today. She will have open discussions addressing many of the issues that we face about our youth, and how being employed in the uniquely skilled profession of social work for over 18 years has taught invaluable lessons through her personal experiences. She will also provide real-life facts, examples, and personal stories that will confirm that why serving as a child advocate is extremely beneficial when addressing the needs of the whole child. Listen live to Dare to Soar, Saturdays 10 a.m. Eastern, as Dr. RC will provide thought-provoking information that will empower, encourage, and strengthen students, families, and communities across our nation. You can also visit her at soarwithkatie.com.
Welcome back once again. As I close, I just have a few more little points. As I shared with gratitude and community, across this nation, thousands of school social workers show up every single day with compassion, dedication, and commitment. to the well-being of students and families, whether you're serving in large urban districts, rural communities, or suburban schools. School social workers continue to stand in the gap of young people who need support, stability, and advocacy. So today, I just want to extend my deepest appreciation to each and every one of you across this country who continue to just show up with courage and compassion, even when work is complex and challenges are significant. As we move through this, there is a legacy. There is a legacy as you arrive, as you move, where we pause and look both forward and backwards, because every profession that makes a lasting impact carries a legacy, a story where it's been, and the vision where it's going. School social work did not appear overnight. It was built by generations of professionals who believed that well-being of children could not be separated from the conditions in which they live and grow. Those were pioneers who understood something powerful, that education alone could not solve a challenge that a child faces. Students also need support and emotional well-being, leadership that continues to advocate for the resources and the recognition that it deserves. And that is clear and important that you do that. As I close this special episode, and it brings National Social Work Week 2026 to a close, I want to take a moment just to speak directly to every school social worker listening today. The work you do matters. The quiet conversations you have with students who are hurting matter. The advocacy you bring to meeting where difficult decisions are made, the safety, stability, the hope that you help create for children and families matter. The words can carefully capture. You show up every day for students who are navigating challenges that many people never see. You are often the steady presence in moments of crisis that advocacy systems fall short. The voice that reminds others that every child deserves dignity, compassion, and opportunity. And even on the days the work feels heavy, and I know it does, when recognition feels limited and others and roles misunderstood, remember this truth. You are not invisible. Your impact and the students were found, helped find their voices, and the families were found to support. And schools that became stronger because someone cared, even to advocate. School social work has a powerful, powerful legacy. It is courageous to lead leaders, and it has a future that will continue to rise because professionals who believe deeply in the power of this work. So as we move forward beyond this week, recognition, let us continue to stand boldly in the purpose of our profession, because school social workers are not just supporting students. We are shaping futures, we are strengthening communities, and we are helping the next generation rise beyond the circumstances. And as always, keep advocating, keep learning, keep leading, keep rising, and never forget to dare to soar. And never be afraid to elevate to new heights as you spread your wings. And as I said, once again, dare to soar. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care and enjoy the rest of your week.
This has been Dare to Soar with your host, Dr. RC. Come take a ride and soar to your highest level possible each week on Dr. RC's Dare to Soar.